What's up guys, it's Tommy here and welcome to a brand new Liverpool transfer news video. And today's video is about Piotr Zielinski, the Polish 24-year-old midfielder. And Italian outlet Calcio Mercato claims that Liverpool and Manchester City are hopeful that they can sign the Polish midfielder. He's 24 years old, he's 177 centimeters tall, that's 5 foot 10 inches tall. And recently, you know, when Italy and Poland played against each other, he had a very good performance. He also started the season with Napoli on fire, having 2 goals in 2 games. And he was actually linked with Liverpool previously. Before he signed for Napoli, he actually wanted to go to Liverpool, but in the end he signed for Napoli. But he was actually presented with a Liverpool shirt by a fan and he held it up, and at that point everybody was thinking that Zielinski will become a Liverpool player. And Liverpool have this tendency of, you know, keeping players under their radar. We were linked with Shaqiri when he went to Bayern Munich. We were linked with Mohamed Salah when he went to Chelsea. We were linked with Sadio Mane when he went to, you know, Southampton, and Liverpool went back for all these players. So there is certainly a possibility that Jurgen Klopp, who the newspaper is reporting that Jurgen Klopp is a big fan of Zielinski, and there is certainly a possibility that Liverpool will sign him. The big problem is that he just recently signed a new long-term contract with Napoli, and he has a £107 million release clause. I don't think he's worth that much, and frankly I would only want Zielinski on if the price is right, and that is probably about £40 million. I don't think he's even worth £50 million, because he is not a player who will score you 15 goals from midfield, and I think Liverpool needs that kind of player. That's why I really wanted for Liverpool to sign Nabil Fekir. So Zielinski, as I said, he's 24 years old and he scored 5 goals for Empoli in his second season in the Serie A. His second season in for Empoli, and he then scored 6 goals in Napoli. In his first season at Napoli, he scored 7 goals in his second season for Napoli. But this season could be his best, because he already has 2 goals in 2 games, as I already said. So frankly, he scored 20 goals in total in 182 career appearances up until this point. He was like 17 or 18 years old at that time in the 2012-2013 season, and I'm a big fan of Zielinski. I think he's a very tidy player, but he's not worth the price that Napoli is asking for, and frankly Napoli don't really want to lose him. But Zielinski earned high praise from former Napoli teammate Jorginho, who now plays for Chelsea, because Italy played with Poland in a recent match, and Jorginho, who is of course a big player, and this is why I think Zielinski is of interest at Manchester City, because Man City is lost out on signing Jorginho. Jorginho decided to go to Chelsea with his former manager Mauricio Sarri, and Man City also want a midfielder. Zielinski, it's very hard to describe what kind of player he is, because he plays a number of positions. He's a very versatile player. He's not an out-and-out attacking midfielder, but he is definitely not a defensive midfielder either. I could maybe describe him as a little bit of a type like Wijnaldum. Is quite similar in that Wijnaldum also can play in any number of midfield positions: right center midfield, left center midfield. Zielinski could maybe even be an inverted winger as well. So he's a very versatile player, which I think Jurgen Klopp likes those type of players. So Jorginho said this about Zielinski: Zielinski chased me around the pitch the whole time, and I wasn't really paying attention to the rest of it. In the second half he came out because he could not take it anymore, and those who replaced him continued to play only on me. When you have a man who does not watch the game and only looks at you, you can only try to make room for your teammates. I tried to talk, to give directions to my teammates about how to move on the field. It was not the best game, but we have to be calm, and keep playing like this. So Jorginho were basically was man-marked by Zielinski, and Zielinski took Jorginho out of the game. And I think Zielinski is a good player. I think Liverpool, if the price is right, as I said previously in the video, I would be a fan of signing him. I don't think he was ready when he was linked with Liverpool the first time, because you know, at Udinese and Empoli he played nowhere near the level that was required for him to play at Liverpool. But at Napoli, you know, Napoli challenged for the Serie A title for 2 seasons in a row now, and Zielinski wasn't ever present. He played 36 games out of the 38 in the previous 2 seasons for Napoli, which means that either as a starter or as a substitute he wasn't ever present in a Napoli side, which was one of the best Napoli teams in history, because they got 91 points in the Serie A last season. That's their highest points total ever. That's the Napoli record for the history books, and Zielinski wasn't almost never present in that team. So I don't think we should underestimate of how good of a player Zielinski is, even though he is not a goal machine. He doesn't score 15 goals a season from midfield, but how many players do that? Not a lot, especially not in the Serie A. It's very hard to find those kind of players, and Zielinski doesn't play as a forward, because I'm sure that if Zielinski played on the maybe in a false 9 position, he would score a lot of goals, but that's not his natural position. And I have some other very interesting transfer news for you guys in this video, so stay tuned. If you enjoy these types of videos, please leave a like, it really helps me out. Subscribe if you are new, and turn on the bell notifications so you never miss a future upload. And Barcelona are linked with Alberto Moreno. Absolutely crazy. I've never heard a transfer rumor like this before, like Barcelona linked with Alberto Moreno. But that's actually what the Mundo Deportivo, which is a Spanish newspaper, is claiming, that you know, Moreno could sign for Barcelona. I can't see it, to be honest, but Barcelona certainly don't have you know, a really good backup for Jordi Alba. I can't see Moreno signing for Barcelona as their #1 left back, because Jordi Alba, he is a world-class left back. But Moreno would certainly be a good backup. Barcelona just sold Lucas Digne to Everton. By the way, Lucas Digne has "You Never Walk Alone" or an "I Never Walk Alone" tattooed on his chest right here, which I found hilarious, because in a previous interview as he was playing in France, he said that that tattoo was inspired by Liverpool and their Champions League final win in 2005, and now he signs for Liverpool's arch rivals Everton. I find that hilarious. So this is just a transfer link. I'm not sure if I should believe it or not, but certainly it would be a big shock if Moreno signed for Barcelona. And Naby Keita said that he's adapting to life in the Premier League. He said this: "I think it's fair to say that the Premier League is a tough league. I'm very motivated to be playing in it. It's an attractive proposition, but I've been told by many people that a lot of overseas players come into the Premier League and they take time to integrate depending on the circumstances. So playing in the Premier League can be difficult, but I'm very motivated to play here, not just for myself, but my teammates and for the club Liverpool." And I think Naby Keita is adapting well. So far he had very good performances. Yes, he made some mistakes, he misplaced some passes, but even the best players, the world-class players, do that. And by the way, just an update on the Hugo Lloris situation. So Hugo Lloris was arrested before Tottenham's last game before the international break at like 3 AM in London, and he was driving drunk home. He was actually almost twice the amount of the legal limit in his you know, breath analysis that he had to give it to the police, and he has been suspended from driving for 20 months, which is almost 2 years plus. he was fined £50,000, which is frankly pocket change for him. It's like less than half of his weekly wages. But you know, him getting suspended for 20 months certainly will teach him a lesson never to do that again. No matter what your job is, how rich you are or how poor you are, nobody should be driving drunk. You can always afford a taxi or an Uber, or ask one of your friends for a lift to drive you home. I'm not sure what to make of this news that UEFA is set to introduce a third European competition from the 2021-22 season onwards. So that's like 3 seasons from now. And the European Club Association chairman Andrea Agnelli gave some details about this, that the current model needs modernizing. He said a detailed assessment of the existing international match calendar is required prior to presenting a new model, and it's going to be very interesting, because I think there are many clubs who would love this. For example, clubs just below the top 6 who very rarely get into Europe. For example, Burnley got into Europe this season, but the likes of Everton, West Ham, you know, Leicester City, teams who are just below the top 6, I think would love the chance to play in a European competition. And I think it's good for the big teams. It's good for Liverpool as well. If the mid-table clubs have more games during the season, that means that they will be more tired when facing Liverpool and other top teams. So, and I think it makes a good you know, competition, because I think there will be a lot more, you know, games where, for example, my home nation Hungary's teams could get into that competition, because we very rarely even make the Europa League group stages. This year is an exception because the VDFC, the Hungarian champions, fell on the last hurdle before the Champions League group stage, but ended up qualifying for the Europa League group stage, which is really awesome. And in that competition, in this third European competition, I think Hungarian teams could regularly take part. This means that the Europa League group stage would be reduced from 48 teams to 32 teams, and the new competition, there is no confirmation on how many teams will qualify for that European competition. It's going to be very interesting. And finally, the Brazilian manager Tite came out and admitted that Roberto Firmino and Douglas Costa deserves more chances in the Brazil national team. It was baffling to me how both players didn't really play that many minutes during the World Cup, and I think that was one of the reasons why Brazil went out earlier than they should have been out. Firmino, frankly, is, in my opinion, a better striker than Gabriel Jesus of Manchester City. And don't get me wrong, Gabriel Jesus is a very good, borderline world-class striker, but Firmino just had a better season for Liverpool, and I think he should have started for Brazil. Same with Douglas Costa. I think he's a brilliant winger, and they combined to score a fantastic goal for Brazil very recently. And I think Tite just finally admitted that maybe he should have selected them more often in the World Cup, which is always good to hear. I really feel very sorry for Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, who came out with an interview saying that it was really difficult during the World Cup, the fact that Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain had to miss the World Cup and had to just sit at home and watch the games on TV, and he will miss the majority of the Liverpool season. He said in an interview, I can't sit here and lie and say it was easy. It was really difficult. Obviously I had a realistic chance to be playing and definitely to be there, so that was obviously not easy to get injured and miss out on the World Cup. But at the same time, I went into England fan mode. You can't not get excited As the games were going on and I was seeing a lot of my friends out there doing so well, it was great to see. I was so excited for them and I got fully into the spirit. I was gutted at the end when we got so close but lost in the semi-final. It is a very serious injury. It can happen to any of us at any time, and that's obviously something that's never easy to deal with and get over. I'm trying to stay positive, and that's the sort of character I am. I feel that's the best way to move things forward. I'm in good spirits and I'm progressing for sure. So that's good to hear that Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain is keeping a positive attitude. That's what you need to have when you have long-term injury. Look at Danny Ings. He had 2 horrific injuries in a row and he still kept a positive attitude, and now he is back starting for Southampton in the Premier League and scoring goals. So I'm so happy for Danny Ings, and I wish all the best for Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. Speedy recovery, mate. And that is all that I have for you guys in today's video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. See you later. Goodbye.